Hello, people of the internet, this is Kaiju Noir here with my first movie review. Now, if there's anything you should know about me is that I am a huge fan of Japanese monster movies, especially those starring the king of the monsters himself, Godzilla. Ever since the series was put on hiatus back in 2004, fans have been clamoring for more city-stomping action. So in recent years, several new films have surfaced, most of which were from independent filmmakers. For my first batch of reviews, I hope to cover several of these new giant monsters, or Daikaiju as they are called in Japan. The first up to bat is Negadon, the monster from Mars. This film was released in 2005 and is a 25-minute film that was created entirely through computer-generated imagery. The movie takes place in the year 2025, where a large rock is discovered on Mars and is transported to Earth for study. However, the rock causes the shuttle carrying it to explode, and it crash lands in the middle of Tokyo. Once the rock reveals itself to be the monster Negadon, it goes on a rampage, and it can only be stopped by a scientist and his giant robot. That is, if he can come to terms with a tragic incident that happened to him 10 years ago. The plot is short, simple, and it looks like it came right out of any giant monster movie from the 50s or 60s. The plot is also simple enough that it allows the viewer to easily relate to and sympathize with the main protagonist, and root for him as he tries to redeem himself for his past mistakes. It doesn't take too long to set up the character's backstory before the action begins. I like how in this movie it is the scientist who pilots the giant mech, as opposed to a young, brash, angst-ridden teenager that is usually seen in other media. When it comes to the CG animation, it is excellent. The director created a technique called Showa 100 that makes the film look like it was shot in the late 50s, early 60s, with faded color, grain, and film scratches. This was made since the film was his tribute to the early days of the kaiju genre. While this visual technique was very well done, the same was not done to the audio, which sounds crystal clear. However, I was not bothered by this inconsistency. The monster Negadon is very unique, as its design is something that could not be portrayed by a man in a suit. Its devastating beam attacks and solar-powered body makes me wonder how its species supposedly lived on Mars. The robot Miroku has a design resembling the stars of the Super Robot TV shows of the 60s, with a hint of realism from the real robot shows made afterwards, which fits the overall visual style. The fight between the two is very entertaining, with a great build-up and equally great payoff. If there's one negative quality I can say about the CGI, is that most of the characters have a doll or mannequin-like quality, especially when it comes to their faces. Now granted, this is a problem that has plagued CGI human characters that were made to look realistic, even in high-budget films such as those of Robert Zemeckis. Luckily for the film, there aren't that many humans shown on screen, and our protagonist appears to have the most work put into his appearance. That, plus the character's backstory, makes it easier for the audience to look past this factor. With such a limited amount of time, the film is still able to provide a simple yet engaging story, along with visuals that don't disappoint. Right out of the gate, we have a movie that is sure to please any fan of giant monster movies, and perhaps bring in new ones as well. I'm giving Negadon, the Monster from Mars, a perfect 5 out of 5. This movie is free to watch here on YouTube and is available on DVD. If this film sounds interesting to you, then you have no excuse not to check it out. Until next time, everybody, take care.